understand that this is my brand, but this is not just for me. It started out being for me when I started posting more in the tea videos and whatnot. It started out to help myself, but it's helping other people. So when you buy a shirt, know that you're not just supporting me. Know that you're supporting other people that's going to be able to be touched by what this brand is going to do in the future. We want to be more than just a podcast. We don't just want to sit down here every week and talk about the things that we can change within our lives. We want to get out here and actually help people do it. So your support through apparel is a reflection of all of that. You know, it's not just about buying a shirt. So I just want to make that very clear, y'all, that when y'all wear this apparel, you know, it means something. It means more than just putting on any old t-shirt. So off my soapbox, y'all, we're going to go ahead on and jump into the content this week. So last week when we left off, I kind of talked about not really feeling adequate out here because of all of the things I realized that I was never exposed to. I felt so behind the curve, you know. But today I kind of want to talk to y'all about how I felt when I realized I didn't have the support that I wanted from my family. I mean, that's pretty much all it is. It's no other word I can use for that besides my family. But I want to explain to y'all how I felt once I realized there were so many things out here that I could be doing, but then realizing that I didn't have the support that I wanted and felt like I needed from my family in order to do these things, and how that really affected me. So I'm down here in New Orleans, y'all, and that's really what sparked this episode, because I really got to spend some time with my family, you know, and everything hasn't always been peaches and cream between me and my family, but, you know, I'm thankful for them. You know, it's nothing that we wouldn't be able to work through. I know some people have real toxic family members and you have to cut them off, and you know, you have to do what you have to do to protect your peace. But in my situation, a lot of things that I dealt with my family are things that were able to be worked through, and I think a lot of them stem from I had a lot of negative energy built up toward my family, because after I got out here in the world and I seen all these great things that people were doing, I realized I didn't have the support that I needed to be able to participate in those things now that I knew they were available. You know, for example, I realized people were purchasing homes at 17 and 18 years old and living in them and renting them out. I talked about that in episode 1. But I didn't have support to do that. You know, and I felt like everything that I wanted to do at the time, I didn't have support for it. I didn't have support for it, and I had to choose survival over progression, you know. And I felt like for the longest I blamed my family for my inability to do these things, instead of figuring out a way to get around it, you know. And I was real bitter about that, but that's kind of where I want to start with. You know, I kind of want to tell my story with that. So the most notable thing that I experienced during my time of being, you know, my late teens, early 20s, going to college and, you know, being surrounded by all this greatness and wanting to do all these great things, you know, I realized that people supported their children in ways that I never experienced with my family. And now that I knew that this was going on, I started to compare, which is always a bad thing. You never want to compare your situation to anybody else's, because I honestly feel like comparison is the thief of joy. It's always going to be somebody that's doing better than you, you know. So for you to compare your situation to someone else's is not fair. But I will say, just looking at these people's situations opened my eyes to a lot of things. The way their family supported them, the things that their parents did for them, you know, I never experienced that, and it made me feel some kind of way. I'll tell y'all a story. So I was graduating from college, you know, and my mother didn't attend my college graduation. You know, we had gotten to a disagreement like we usually do, and she decided that she wasn't going to attend. Now, she was already in, you know, Baton Rouge, had already came down to attend my graduation, but she left, right? And me being me, keeping pushing, I'm like, whatever, you know, it's fine. I'm going to graduate. You know, my father and some of my other family members were there. So I was like, whatever, you know, I'm going and I'm going to enjoy my graduation. But I got there and this girl that was in school with me that I knew, her mother bought her I can't remember what type of luxury car it was, but it was a nice ass car. And she had a bow on top of it for her daughter graduation because she was so proud of her daughter. And I remember crying my eyes out because all I wanted in that moment was for my mother to be present, just her presence, you know, and she decided not to be there. And here this woman is showering her daughter with all type of gifts that, you know, I never would even expected, you know, my mother to do for me, but I couldn't even get attendance, you know. And it was at that point in my life where I realized that supporting people that you love is so important, yo. You know, I didn't realize how much that affected me until I seen somebody else going above and beyond supporting theirs, and then I realized how important support really was to me. You know, when my mama told me she wasn't coming, I kind of just brushed it off like, yeah, whatever. But a lot of times in our life that happen. We experience things that really, really bother us, and for whatever reason, we brush it under the rug and act like, oh, all right, you know, they ain't no big deal. It is a big deal. You know, everybody want to be supported, y'all. Everybody want to be celebrated. And after that, I felt like, you know, I blamed my mother and my family so much for so many things that I wasn't able to do. Every time I would hit a roadblock, I'd be like, you know what, you know, if I had parents that was able to support me in this way, then I wouldn't be dealing with that. You know, whenever I graduated from college and I was faced with the decision to either go to graduate school and get my master's degree or go out here and get into the workforce. Now, I really wanted to get my master's degree, but I needed to get out here and support myself. You know, financially, my parents weren't able to do for me like some of my peers' parents were able to do for them. So I had to get out of college and get a job. So I didn't go to graduate school. And I had so much resentment built up toward my family for the longest because I was like, you know, here I am out here working. I should be getting my master's. I'm working a job that I'm not even really proud of. When people would ask me what I was doing after graduating and getting my degree, I would shy away from it because all I could really say was I was a store manager. And I wasn't proud of that. I just wasn't. You know, it wasn't what I thought that I should be doing. And I didn't have pride in it at all. You know, looking back at it, I mean, it was a great job. I met some great people that has become my family at that job. But at the time, my mind frame was not very appreciative of it at all. And I think it's because I felt like I was supposed to be in graduate school. And I blamed my family for not being able to support me long enough to do the things that I was able to do. And that wasn't right. You know, I can say that now. I can honestly sit here and say that that wasn't right. Because something that I realized after going through all of this and pointing the finger at my family for so many years is that my family could only give me what they had. And that's not a cop-out. That's not to say it was cool for my mama to decide she wasn't coming to my graduation. But keep in mind at the same time, my mama never graduated from high school, let alone college. You know, her perception of how important that was probably never even, it never even resonated with her how important something like that would be for me. You know, I don't think she did it like, ooh, I'ma hurt her so deep and cut her. She was angry. People do things when they're angry, you know. And again, that's not to give right in that situation because at the end of the day, that was dead wrong. You know, mad or not, I feel like as a parent, she should have made a better decision. But in order for me to be able to cope with the hurt, I had to try to figure out what it was that was going on. And I came to the conclusion with not only that situation, but a lot of situations that my family could only give me what they had, you know, and they did the best with what they had. They tried to give me stability. You know, my parents stayed together with me. My parents didn't stay together with my brothers. they had their ups and downs and they break up and make ups and whatnot. But when it came down to me, my parents went through hell and high water, but they stayed together because they thought that that was the best thing for me. Was it the best thing for me? I don't know. I doubted it at sometimes, but they thought they were doing what was best, you know. And to be honest, that's all that you can really expect from a person. You know, it's kind of like the story I told y'all whenever I left Morgan City and realized they had such great things out here. You know, should I have blamed myself for not knowing about these things that I was never exposed to? How are you going to do something about a situation that you're not even aware of? You know, so I think that's something that really helped me cope with not having the support that I expected. To be completely honest to y'all, I thought I had support, you know, and then I got out here in the world and I seen what support was with other people, and I realized that I had never had the support that I should have had. But just like I had to get out here in the world and see what supporting a person you love really was, my family had to do the same thing. They didn't know, you know. My mother supported me better than what her mother did. And my grandmother probably supported my mother better than what her mother supported her. You know, y'all have to understand that we dealing with a long line of bullshit that we have to break. And it's not going to happen overnight. And unfortunately, some of the bullshit is going to fall upon us. You know, but I think the key to a lot of things that we deal with is just trying to understand and forgive, you know. Not for the person that hurt you, but for yourself. Because you can't walk around angry and pointing fingers at the world. You have to be able to deal with those things and move on. Is it going to hurt? Is it going to drag up some horrible memories? Yes. I'm sitting here thinking about some stuff that's hurting me right now just talking about this. But you have to cope for yourself. You know? You can't never achieve true happiness in life if you're still walking around being upset with people about things that they done to you or things that they didn't do that you expected them to do. It comes a point in your life where you have to sit down, you have to talk those things out, not for that person, but for you. It's all for you, y'all. Don't ever feel like, oh, I ain't forgiving them. Because let me tell you something, baby. It takes energy to walk around and hate a person.